swelling tendons of her neck. You love how Alma shivers when you bite her, how she fights you with those arms that are so skinny they belong on an after-school special. Alma is a Mason Gross student, one of those Sonic Youth comic book reading alternatinas without whom you might never have lost your virginity. She grew up in Hoboken, part of the Latino community that got its heart burnt out in the 80s. She spent nearly every one of her teenage days on the LES, thought that would always be her home. But then both NYU and Columbia rejected her, and she ended up farther from the city than before. Alma is in a painting phase, and all the people she paints are the color of mold, look like they've just been dredged up from the bottom of a lake. Her last painting was of you, slouching against the front door, only your frowning, I had a lousy third world childhood, and all I got was this shitty attitude, eyes recognizable. Alma did give you one huge forearm, though. I told you, she says, I would get the muscles in. The past couple of weeks, now that the warm is here, Alma has abandoned the black, started wearing these nothing dresses that look like tissue paper, wouldn't take more than a strong wind to undress her, and every time you see her on the street flaunting, you know exactly what every nigger that walks by is thinking because you are thinking it too. Alma, is slender as a reed. You are a steroid-addicted block. Alma loves driving. You have no points on your license. Alma's nails are too dirty from cooking. Your spaghetti con pollo is the best in the land. You are so very different. Alma rolls her eyes every time you try to talk about politics. She won't even call herself Hispanic, and she brags to her girlfriends that you're a radical and a real Dominican, even though on the Plátano Index you would not even rank. You brag to your boys that Alma has more albums than any of them do, and that she says terrible white girl things while you fuck. Alma is more adventurous in bed than any girl that you've ever been with. On your first date, she asked you if you wanted to come on her tits or her face.
Wait, did this just happen?
Maybe during boy training, you did not get one of the memos because you were like, neither? Yes. It's an opposites attract sort of thing. It is a great sex sort of thing. It is a no thinking sort of thing. It is wonderful. Wonderful. Until one June day, Alma discovers that you are also fucking this beautiful freshman girl named Lakshmi. Discovers the fucking because she opens your journal and reads. She waits for you on the front stoop, and when you pull up in her Saturn and see your journal in her hand, your heart plunges through you like a fat bandit through a hangman's trap. You take your time turning off the car. You are overwhelmed by a pelagic sadness, a sadness at being caught, at the incontrovertible knowledge that Alma will never forgive you. You stare at her incredible legs, and between them, to that even more incredible popola that you have loved so inconstantly these last 2 years. Only when Alma starts walking over do you finally get out of the car? You dance across the lawn, powered by the last fumes of your outrageous sinvergüencería. Hey, muñeca, you say, prevaricating to the end. When Alma starts shrieking at you, you ask her, darling, whatever is the matter? She calls you a cocksucker, a punk motherfucker, and a fake-ass Dominican. She claims you have a little penis, no penis, and worst of all, that you like curried pussy. Which really is unfair, you try to explain, since Lakshmi is from Guyana. But Alma is not listening. Instead of lowering your head and copping to it like a man, you pick up the journal as one might hold a baby's be-shatted diaper, as one might pinch a recently be-nutted condom. You glance at the offending pages, and then you smile a smile your dissembling face will remember as long as you live. Baby, you say, baby, this is part of my novel. And this is how you lose her. Thank you. So, we have some time. Before I start reading, could we just get a few questions? We have a question from this young man. Wait a minute. Tell us, what school are you from? Come on now. You gotta welcome people to your house, yo. This poor young man is all alone. You booing? Come on.
It's beauty, love, relax, yo.
Yeah, man.
Now my question, as a bilingual writer, I mean, I know I myself have the issues. Do we expect too much from readers at times when we do include our Spanish language? I mean, that goes for any language as well, I mean, besides the Spanish language in general. At the same time, it's two-part. Do you feel that at the same time it could also hinder our readership or attract it more? I'm Dominican, so whenever I hear a Dominican writer, I try to read their shit. I'm a Spanish person first also, so if I see a Spanish person, I'm going to read it too. However, do you feel that if we do include Spanish or another language, we are at the same time constantly excluding other readers, or is it our job to make it so whatever we say is still understandable in context? And ask her why I use footnotes. Is it okay to use footnotes?
Hold on, that's like 3 questions. Let me get to those questions one at a time.
I had to bring them against them.
It's okay, thank you. I mean, guys, first of all, I mean, those are wonderful questions. First of all, I don't know who you or we, excuse the grammar, is. In other words, every single writer is their own person. If a writer, if she wants to use footnotes, she can use footnotes. If a writer wants to write a book and half of what she's writing is English and half of it is Bangladeshi, she can do it. Mm-hmm. The thing is that the point of a book is writing a book because one is trying to communicate with a specific group of folks. It doesn't mean other people can't read it. It doesn't mean that other people can't connect. But you certainly shape the audience by what you put it in. If I write a book in French, I'm assuming motherfuckers who don't read French ain't gonna read it.
I assume so.
I mean, that's just the nature of language. If I'm putting a lot of Spanish in, then I'm expecting that my readers will at least have some tolerance of Spanish, if not understand it. And I think that every project is very different. Every project is specific. Every project is particular. The idea that one is asking too much of a reader, I think one is shaping readers by what we put in the work. You know, you make your book incredibly dense and esoteric and difficult, you're going to attract a very specific kind of audience, people who are going to put up with that. I have a lot of writer friends, they write stuff that's incredibly dense, difficult to understand, and it's almost experimental. I feel like they're crazier than me and they write in English. But when it comes down to it, I think that most people forget that on average, readers are very generous. Which is to say, 99% of the planet doesn't give a shit about reading. Most people don't want to read, they don't care about reading, but people who are readers are incredibly generous. They will stick through a book for a very long time. Anybody read Lord of the Rings?
No.
Do you read? Yeah, but if you read Lord of the Rings, half the damn book is Elvish.
No, that's last time.
Motherfuckers will read that. I think
That's Elvish.
I think that my take on reading is that I'm always assuming that my reader is really open-minded and positive. And I think that's the stance I come from. I'm not worried about chasing people away. How many more people can we chase away? I'm writing. Nobody reads. It's not like I'm dropping an album. I'm like, oh, I'm an MC. And I'm like, yo, I need all the beats to be polka beats. Okay, I might lose people, and there's money. But there ain't no money in this fucking game. If you get 2,000 readers, you're good, yo. You're good. So you might as well do what your dream tells you to do. And imagine that the people at the other end of the page are happy to see you. And that's how I write. I always imagine the other people are happy to see me. Because if I think about the rest of it, you won't get any work done. So I tend to approach it from that other angle. You know? I think footnotes are fine because they're part of my project. But again, for some people, they don't want to read it. I know people who've come up to me and said, I opened your book, saw a footnote, put it down. I'm like, I understand now. No, for real, I'm like, shit, man, I know. But I can't help you. You know, you can only write the books you can write. People like them, but some people don't, and that's okay. You know, you're not trying to be a religion. You're not. Religions claim they're for everybody. Arts don't claim they're for everybody. Arts, it's like, we're just here. If you like us, come. If not, there's plenty of others, you know. No, there is. It's not, I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's good. How about another question? Madame. Of course.
Nice to be flattered. Well, I'm in Professor Hellman's class, and we actually, while reading the 300 side of the class for a while, we also read Hemingway's story of the short half-life of Francis McDormand. So, we obviously found some connections between those stories. What inspired you from reading that story, and how long after did you decide to write Oscar Wilde?
Whew, thank you. Yeah, no, I think I read that short story probably 20 years before I started writing it. I mean, I just kind of love the ideas. First of all, when you have the title of your book that references another piece of fiction, it tends to signal to people that this is a book that's going to reward reading. You know, it's going to reward picking through it. So there was that. But I kind of love this idea of a dude having a crisis, being in love with the wrong people, ending up dying for this kind of crisis. I just felt that there was a lot of resonance to that. And it's a story, you know, the Hemingway story is a lot about masculinity. And Oscar is deeply about masculinity. And it just felt like a not a bad shout out, you know? It's just not a bad shout out. The rest of it, like, I don't know. Like, honestly, I couldn't write a paper about that. You know, I can remember why I did it, but shit, the rest of it is lost. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Yeah. Come on, we had some hammer hands up, all the way at the corner. Yes, sir.
I I just wanted to know, is there a point where you said, like, fuck it, I'm gonna write whatever I want? I mean, because, like, I would like to write as well.